Okay. So far, so good. Seems to be letting me on. Ah, great. Oh, well, I didn't pay attention to the Facebook Live. There's a typo. Oh, well. Okay. Well, I have a number of things because I never know for sure if there's going to be somebody with me or not. But since you're here, I'd like to do something if you're agreeable. And it's something that you did that that I mean, it's been a mindset of mine, but you did it on one of our shows, and so I'd kind of like to do that if we can, and that is, I'm going to read questions that I actually got from people, and I'm going to read the answer I gave them. This was for the newspaper column, and I would answer their questions in the newspaper. And even though it's many years before the one rule, it's still the same foundation. And then after that, I would like us to think of like, this is what you did. You took one of those things like that, and you thought, well, what would I do? You know, because you would have different interests, different needs, different everything, you know. So
Sure.
so I've been thinking about this for a few weeks. I don't seem to be able to do this when I'm by myself, but hopefully we can do it here. Does
Okay.
that sound good? Okay.
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to okay. This is what let's see. I have to get back to here. All right. I'm gonna screen share for this part of it, and then I'll go back to us. Okay. Huh. All right. Okay, this was a question. I've been reading your column and I like a lot of what you say. Most of the time, I think I'm a respectful parent because power of respect was what I was working with in those days. Now it's the one rule, but not always. Sometimes I really don't feel like being respectful. What can I do then? And this is what I answered. When you're feeling frustrated, disappointed, frightened, tired, hungry, it is more difficult to treat others with respect. If you don't want to do or say things you might regret later, have several plans of action to help prevent this. For example, if you have a centering practice, now is a great time to use it. Have a private place to go and be until you feel you can treat those around you with respect. A self-imposed timeout. Now, something has come up since I wrote this, and that is that there may be situations with children where you can't go off to a private place, and you might have to do that right where they are. And so you would need to figure out, like, maybe you could listen to something on earphones, be in the same room, listen to some music or a meditation or something like that, a podcast even. Okay. Another possibility, tell your kids what you're feeling. Explain that you don't want to do or say things to them that might make all of you feel bad, but that because of the way you're feeling, you might. Ask them to keep away from you until you tell them that you're okay again. If your children are babies and too young to understand, arrange to have someone, a partner, relative, friend, neighbor, babysitter, childcare buddy, watch the children while you take care of yourself. Be sure to make time to have the experiences which make you feel good about yourself and your life. If your kids are old enough, discuss this situation with them sometime when you're not in the middle of it. Get their suggestions and come to some agreements about what to do. Maybe they could give you a massage, fix dinner, play the piano, or go visit friends. Sometimes your kids are feeling frustrated, disappointed, frightened, tired, or hungry at the same time you are. This certainly adds to the difficulty of keeping a respectful relationship. If this happens frequently or regularly, it can make a great difference in your lives if you make and take time to plan for these circumstances. If your kids are old enough, figure this out with them. After you've tried out the agreed upon plan of action, check in with each other to make sure it's working well and keeps working well for everyone. Be prepared to modify it if necessary until it is satisfactory. This is basically what would happen with the one rule too. When your children are very young, please arrange to have someone who can help you and or them during these times. It can make all the difference for you and the children if you can get relief when you need it. It is relief for them too, not having to suffer from their own hardships and yours also. If you have already been disrespectful and you're feeling guilt or regret about it, forgive yourself, let the past be in the past, and be determined to act and speak in the present in ways which please you and your kids. Apologize. This is a positive step toward changing behavior patterns which you don't like. It can help you speed up the process of change, the process of remembering the ways you really want to act. Ask your kids what you can do to make amends for what you said or did, which might help them feel good again. You speed up your rate of change when you take more action in your chosen direction. This can help you remember even more than if you just apologize, and certainly more than if you don't even apologize. Remember that every act of respect helps improve the emotional climate. It increases people's feeling of safety, happiness, and peace. When a person feels good, this spreads to everyone they contact. So practice respect as much as you can for the good of us all. So it would be the same with the one rule, to use the one rule. Okay, I'm going to go back to us. Did you have any ideas or thoughts during that?
Yes, of course. There's
Okay,
a lot of stuff there. We all know that we're human, and that some days we just don't feel like doing things that we maybe are accustomed to doing. We might be tired or hungry, like you said. And I think if you establish a relationship with the people you're communicating with, they'll realize that by now. They'll know that some days you might have a bad day or something, and you might not even have to come out yourself and explain or acknowledge it. They might see it themselves from working with you, in the
right.
past, and just knowing you. And you triggered something. I remember as an adult, I asked one of my employers once how he can always be in a good mood, and how I never seen him snap or be mad, or never came to me and said I'm having a bad day. Or sometimes he says he just tries to smile every day, even if he's faking it, and it just kind of becomes a habit that he's always presenting himself in that way. This is kind of like
Interesting.
an old school way of, this is the type of guy that maybe doesn't leave his house unless he's cleanly shaven, has clean clothes on, or a tie, or he has the persona that if he's dealing with others, even if it's his own children, he wants to act in a manner that's professional, and maybe he doesn't want to let folks down. And I think if he does need an apology, this is the type of person that wouldn't say, I need to apologize, and leave it open ended. He might admit what he thinks, where he came up short, where he failed. And he might say, instead of just, will you forgive me? He might say, can I do this to make it up for you? And if they agree, then once he completes that task, the negative situation is behind them.
Right.
And they'll hope that it doesn't repeat. And I think there's a lot to be said about, if you trust a person and if they have consistency, and someone you're working with, they teach you to have good, positive self-talk. And I think that might be what you need to be doing with yourself. Before you spout out something that you're going to regret, take 10 seconds and review in your head how you should be talking or how you should be acting before you come out negative with something verbal. So I think bad habits can be delayed sometimes. If you're feeling bad and you might go down that road, you might be able to do a lateral move and just remind yourself that, I've done this before. I don't want to go there. And the
Mm,
consequences of it, I might have to apologize. That the person will think less of me because I'm off my guard. So there's a lot to be said for what you're saying here. And I think the first thing is just to take a breath and smile, like my friend always did, my
wow.
employer, who
Yeah.
became my friend. Yeah. I think you gave
Nice.
a lot of good advice there. It had a lot of different configurations of what could be done to resolve the issue if you're the one that created it. Yeah. What,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, uh, I was just thinking, like, when I actually started on this path, it it was a time when I suddenly realized that I was not the person that I wanted to be. I was like yelling at my little children, and they were like all of them were, their faces were kind of shocked by by and so I did all of those things then. I did all the things I didn't want to do, like that. I mean, that was the most extreme that I did, was to yell at them.
And when
I
you get
didn't,
to that level, they realize that's not the true you. They see it because you have a consistency. And a lot of teachers are trained that don't raise your voice unless it's absolutely necessary. And that'll just come when the students and even your children, as you're referring to here, if you raise your voice or do something that acting the way you don't want to be, they'll know that something's off, that that's not your normal path.
well, in those days though, it happened, but I I made a vow to them that day, which I kept 100%, like not even 99. It was like 100%. I never did that again. I never tried to make them do something they didn't want to do. I just stopped it. And I did that whole routine. I did the apologizing. I did the asking them if there's something that I could do to help them feel good again. And they actually came up with something. Well, my oldest daughter did. She wanted to go visit some friends we hadn't seen for a long time. And so we did it. And it just, to me, it started this whole positive adventure with them. It just, I don't know how it happened or whatever, but I know what I did. And it just shifted me inside because I really wanted to be, to work with them, to be a compassionate person, not a harsh person. And even though there was harshness in my growing up, and that's, I'm sure, where it came from, but that's not who I wanted to be. So,
Right.
and now I'm doing all this because I know I had so many children over the years who wanted to come live with me. And at some point I realized, even though I would like that, it's not a realistic possibility. So better I share with other people what the way I've gone about it. Maybe it'll help them do that, and the children will be happy where they are. So I got to get some water.
What I see is that as educators and people that are trying to share this knowledge and these experiences and the things that we discuss here, I see that we don't always have control of what other folks are doing. And but we have control of how we present ourselves. There's times maybe where I see things and disagree with things that other folks might be doing, other teachers or other mentors, parents, and I might disagree with it. And then I learn from that, thinking that I would like to tell that child, I would never do that to you. But I would think it in my head as my self-talk. Like, for example, I have a granddaughter, and sometimes her mama spanks her. Extreme, but she'll just get to that level. And I feel like it makes me cry just to see it. and I feel like running and hugging my granddaughter and saying, I would never do that to you, or, but I think she just knows that.
Yeah, I'm
She
sure she
she knows
does.
that my relationship is different, and luckily it's been working for me because my granddaughter respects me and doesn't really test the waves like she does with her mom. On the other hand, some of my training tells me that some kids look for attention in any way they could get it. And even if they
Right.
know the spanking or whatever the punishment is isn't that cruel and it's not going to hurt, they might push the limits just to get the attention. That's why I'm a little curious about when you made the commitment to your children not to do this or that or force them to do anything. Sometimes kids don't know what they want or what they do want. You want to make them happy, but as adults, sometimes I think that we're in charge, and sometimes we have to make a hard decision or a decision that the child doesn't necessarily approve of, but it is for their own right. Would you agree with that? It is for their right. Like, I don't want to go to bed, or I don't want to eat that broccoli. You know, I don't know. I'm confused sometimes because I have a granddaughter that's 5 years old that doesn't like to eat meat, and people raising a vegetarian, and I'm like, well, not really, but I just don't force her to eat the meat if
Right.
if she doesn't want it. Um, and I don't agree that she should have to eat a chicken nugget if she doesn't want it, or a piece of steak. She eats her salad, she eats her veggies, she eats bread. She just hasn't acquired a taste for meat yet, and I've learned to accept that. I've even taken her to a food nutritionist and a food therapy, and so they try to give me techniques. Well, get her to try one bite or this or that, or we even made a reward calendar. If you try something, and I made it anything, not just meat, pickles, olives, Brussels sprouts. If you try something new, you get a reward, or a star on your thing. And when you get 5 stars, then we'll go to a dollar store and get a reward. So I try to work things where we all win, not just me, the person who's responsible. See what I'm
Right.
saying? And I
Yeah.
think these are things you already know, but I'm just trying to share how you said maybe I could put my input in of how I
Yeah.
come out ahead on these things.
Yeah.
These are the ideas, the concepts that I come up with. A lot of it is personable, and a lot of it is reflecting on my formal teaching training as to be a
Mm,
teacher, and
right.
and also a parent, from workshops and things like that.
Huh. Right.
But I don't, my point, I guess, is that I don't know how others come up with their ways. I only know how I come up with my ways, and that's the things I try to share because those are my experiences that I fall back on and utilize. Other people, such as you or my daughter or other parents, they're coming from their own road of experience
Right.
and input, that they got from others, and I just know my way, and but when things are questionable, that's why I come to workshops like what you hold here for ideas that I might be able to put into my repertoire that could work for me.
Wow. Cool. Yeah. Well, um, I
Like
think,
if you were to go back to your thing, that list, would you
yeah.
want to elaborate on some of those items that you showed? Because some of them, the options might maybe maybe don't go with another one. They don't maybe coincide. Like you had different points that you could do. Maybe they
Right.
don't all go together. So you were offering assorted methods that someone
Right.
could try, is what I was thinking I was seeing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're different and the
Right,
children that we deal with are different. So
right,
what's going to work between two individuals might not work between another two individuals or one of those individuals and someone else. um it depends on and that's like I think it's really critical that that the solution that we come up with be agreeable to those involved. I always stress that those involved, because it what other people outside of the people involved in the situation, um I don't give them a say in what happens between those people. Do you know what I'm saying? Whoa, you vanished. Something happened and you disappeared. Now
Oh,
you're
I
back.
was at my end, I was here the whole time and you froze up. So I don't know what happened. So
Oh, it was
I just waited it
strange.
out. Now we're both back. Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying that sometimes things
Okay.
happen and you have to regroup, or
Um,
well, you want everybody to be happy all the time, a win-win situation. That's a real thing.
yeah. Yeah, I would like everyone to get to feel good all the
You
time.
kind of made me think of people say don't ever go to bed angry,
I've heard that,
with someone, like,
right?
and I feel that that also means like the end of an experience or the end of the day, or it's like a closure going to bed. So it could be the same thing with a situation that you're having with a child. You don't want to leave it to, you know, what gets me is so cool is that children don't seem to hold grudges as much as
Right.
adults. Is that like you think
I
that's
think so.
a learned thing?
Probably.
Because
Yeah, they forgive
sometimes,
easily.
yeah, yeah,
I've
and
even
that's what
seen
I see.
a teenager. I was so surprised, but a teenager whose father kind of took more of this approach. He was they lived across the street from me, and I used to tutor her. And when he shifted from being super abusive to trying to get along with her instead, she forgave him instantly. All those years of being really seriously harsh,
Do you
she
think that's
forgave him.
rare?
It's like, I well, I was kind of surprised because she was already a teenager. But
Yeah.
then I thought, well, because I know children, young children will do that. They, like you say, they don't hold grudges, and
Yeah.
they forgive easily. Um, and so I'm thinking that maybe until the the person is I don't know if something happens inside to make you an adult. Um, but maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know if that, because
Well,
it
the
does
old
seem
saying,
rare.
yeah,
Go ahead.
the old saying, like, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you type thing. Um, it's like, are we trying to eliminate that? Or I don't know. I think that still exists in my life. And even if it's someone else's actions, for example, I got to share this.
All
One
right.
time when my granddaughter was getting a spanking from my daughter, and my granddaughter looked up at me like, save me, gosh, it was so hard. I didn't, all I
Mm,
could do was just take her in my arms and then just talk to her like, what just happened? Mommy who spanked me, but why? What was your part in that? And like what made her need feel the need to do that? But in the meantime, inside I was thinking, no matter what you do, I would never spank you. And but I just felt so helpless, and that was someone else's disciplinary method that I don't have control of. And I think I walked away from that experience just a little bit touched. I really don't want to be put in that situation again. So I want the child to behave more than she does herself, maybe, you know? So I don't want to see her get punished in that way.
Hmm. Right.
Talk to my daughter about it, and again, it just comes out that that's going to be her method as a last resort to say, no, no, you did something that I don't want you to do, and this is going to be how it is. You know, when I was a school teacher back in the old days, they still had pops and swats here in Texas with paddles. Now, I refuse to do it. I'm a grown man, you know, and I'm not going to be hitting on someone else's kids physically, so I couldn't do that. But I'm more of a communicator where I would do what you said in one of your examples, go to a quiet area, go to a private time where you can have a talk and talk it out. And I think that's a better way of resolving issues than taking the upper hand,
Yeah.
because that's what the one rule is all about. Everybody involved being happy with the situation, not one
Yeah.
person taking the upper hand and taking control and getting the results that they envision. You want both people involved or all people involved. And maybe it's not possible, but I would like all people involved to be satisfied with the situation and how it was handled.
Right. Like, I just thought, like, you and your daughter and your granddaughter.
Hmm.
That would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's just, I just think what turns out to be is I just feel I have a different relationship with my granddaughter than my daughter does, and I've accepted that. So I know personally that my granddaughter, she knows I would never spank her or hurt her in any way.
Right.
Where she knows the consequences of her actions might be a spanking from her mom. You know, that's so she knows the difference between how I'm going to handle things and how her mom might. And it makes me curious to see, you know, how she interacts with both of us,
Right. Hmm.
or how me and my daughter ourselves respond to situations where my granddaughter might not, you know, be acting out the way we want her to. Right. I'm not saying that my daughter takes the spanking thing as the first resort. You know, if she says, I'm going to give you one more chance, or I'm going to give you 10 minutes to get this done. And if not, then she gives her the warning. You know, I don't really take it that far. I'm more of a person, let me get up and help you myself, and we'll get it done together. And, you know, what I was thinking there is like, if my daughter tells my granddaughter, go clean your room, you got 10 minutes, or you got 10 minutes to get your pajamas on for bed. If you don't do it, you're going to get a spanking. It's not my technique. My technique might be, hey, let's clean your room up. I'll help you. Would that be a better thing? Or go get your pajamas and I'll help you put them on. So I just take it a different way. The
Right.
argument might be, my daughter might be saying, well, I was cleaning the dishes and I don't got time to stop, or I couldn't stop doing what I was doing. So, and I needed that room to get clean. So I say, yeah, but you put consequences to her that maybe I wouldn't have done, you know, but that's your way. And I have to accept that that's your daughter. I guess kind of like when we're teachers too, the guy across the hallway, another teacher might have different rules on the board or on the wall than I have in my room. And the consequences might be different. But I think the authorities see that. They see which kids are in detention or after school, or what teacher calls the parents, or what teachers enforce cruel or harsh punishments, or other ones don't find that necessary. There's a lot of different ways of doing things. You just have to find your own way. And I think parents are looking for that. And that's something you're supplying them you're offering them different options, I notice, and I like that, like with your, Dear Karen type newspaper thing.
Right.
That's a great thing. I wish that was still going. I think we need that today. Like a
Uh-huh.
Dear Abby thing for parents and professionals who are trying to create relationships. I would think that you could do that again if you wanted to. I think we need that.
I That would be great. I really enjoyed doing it.
Hmm.
Huh. Well, I have to
I
figure out
guess,
how.
well, you have your newsletter, right?
Uh, Not at the moment, but I need to
Oh,
start one. Maybe that will
and
be a
but
good way.
you have your magazine though, right?
Yeah.
Still, I wonder if you
Yeah,
could put
but
a column right in your.
I haven't done that for a long time. Oh, I have
Okay,
that. I do have that in the magazine.
yeah,
There is the question answer section.
yeah. We might be able to get some folks that have some questions and are looking for answers to contribute, or ask us,
Yeah,
or ask you, and you could go back to your old experiences, or you could also ask some participants to maybe add some new ones to it and see if others had ways
that's a
to
good idea.
resolve. Yeah,
I'm gonna
maybe
do
other
that.
people maybe other people have ways to resolve issues that we're not aware of that work for them. Conflict resolution, it's a big thing these days. We have to find a way to get closure. That's what I'm saying earlier about you don't want to go to bed angry, because then you don't know where you are when you wake up in the morning. Did we resolve that or not? When I went to bed, I was so furious. I'd rather go to bed with a hug and a kiss than just get out of my sight. I had a parent that would say that, and that's how they would leave it. Just, or, why are
Wow.
you making me do this? Because I said so. And that's not an answer. That's not appropriate. But sometimes
Right.
it's questionable if we owe a child a reason. We all go take a bath. Why? I took one yesterday. Well, because you played outside all day. We really have to tell them every time. But also, is because I said so. Is that an appropriate response? I'm not sure. Maybe that needs to be clarified for a lot of people.
Well, the thing, uh, it doesn't, I don't know. I don't think it's an appropriate answer because it it's not taking into account the other person and what they need and want, and finding something harmonious, you know.
Well, I think the task still needs to be completed if it's something that's necessary. But I think your goal and the way you're trying to train us and learn, even though we have our own way of going about it, is to make it to where everybody's happy and agrees on the task. Maybe if it's even changing their mind about it. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm
There's
concerned.
nothing wrong with
Well,
that.
sure, sure. If you have a way, I don't say it's a coercion. You're coercing someone to do something they don't want to do, but you want to get them to help understand why it needs to be done and to also agree, not just to
Right.
do it to please you, but to agree that it's the right thing to do, whatever the task is. Like, sometimes it's unclear to me when you say things, and I'm trying to learn from you that you made an oath to your children that you would never make them do anything unpleasant that they didn't want to do ever again. And I would like to maybe clarify some of that and maybe have some specific examples of what you're thinking when you make that statement. You know what I mean? Is there one thing that maybe you could share to tell us, like, what is something that might have came up after that where you say, well, they don't want to do this, but it needs to be done. So how can I get this task completed and they're still happy with it without them doing it under duress? or fighting me on this issue. Like, what are some of the things that we could, mention that would work? I don't know.
Hmm.
Is it about like,
Well,
I don't
that's a good
know, raising
question.
children is complex,
Yeah.
and one thing I keep falling back on, even though this one rule thing works and it works for me, I just see other people having issues where they think that things need to get done. They're not all pleasant. Someone has to clean the toilets. Someone has to do the laundry. Someone,
Well, see,
has to
like
make their bed.
when I was growing up, the one thing I didn't like to do was dishes. So I didn't mind cleaning the toilet.
Okay.
I traded with my sister um that I would like vacuum and clean the bathroom, all of it, tub and basin, toilet, floor. I would clean anything if
But
she
what
would
if your
do the
mom came
dishes.
home? What if your mom came home and the toilet, the bathroom was clean, but the dishes weren't done? Would she
Oh,
go straight to your sister, or would she go to you?
oh no, she knew I think she knew
You're
the arrangement. It never came up. My sister was, hey, she was happy. She just
okay.
had to do the dishes. And for
So what
her,
I'm
that
getting from
was,
this is,
huh?
since it was a task she didn't mind doing,
No.
she didn't procrastinate. She got it done.
Yeah.
So full circle, you were happy, your sister was happy, and your mom was happy, and it worked out.
Yeah.
But, but if you take one of those things out of it, and
Then you have to
maybe the
shift it.
toilet, yeah,
Then you have to
I,
shift it. Something has to happen. Something has to
I,
happen.
right. I recall that I tried to pull one of those. I asked one of my brothers, "Hey, I got to go to a basketball practice," when I was like in middle school. And I said, "Would you take the trash, out for me from the kitchen and put it outside? I got to go." And he said, "Yeah." When I came home, the trash was in my bed. But I ran to my mom. I'm like, "Why is the trash thrown in my bed?" She goes, "Well, you didn't take it out, And I'm like, well, I asked my brother to, to do it. She goes, "Well, I asked you to do it and you didn't see it." So my brother let me down. So my
Hmm.
mom's response to it was to punish me. So I speak about that in my latest book, Your Life Sucks. I tell a story about I got grounded once from driving my mom's car. And one time my brother was asked to wash the car by my mom, but the hose wouldn't reach. So he came to me to move it. And I said, "No, I'm not allowed to drive it anymore. So he went to move it, and it turned out to be a negative thing. He had a car wreck, but I took
Wow.
the blame. So when my dad came home, my mom said, "Brian smashed the car." Like, I didn't do it. He did it. Well, if you would have moved it like you were supposed to, that would, so it came back on me anyway. So
Wow.
So, see, I talk about that in my book, and I have to admit, I'm not the one that physically did it, but I was responsible for it in a roundabout way, which tells me that
Well,
we said something about this earlier. What was your part in that? Not how could you have a good part or a bad part? What was your part in that total situation? Instead of putting the blame out, you know what I mean? On the perpetrator, or the parent or the child. You say, what's your part in resolving this in a proper way, where everyone's
right,
harmonious, like using
right.
your words, where everyone's happy and everyone agrees? What is your part to get to that ending solution, the closure of this incident? Your part be to make it good. I don't think we have, and that's positive self-talk.
Yeah,
What can we
that's
do to make it
good.
good? Right. Rather than saying, what went wrong here? Well, what went right? And what did we do to make it right? So, and that's what I'm saying about my friend that always smile. Every time I see him, I said, Mike, why you always smile like that? "Well, sometimes it's fake, Brian. Sometimes, but I know that I'm happier and things, and I won't say anything bad if I'm smiling, you know, that kind of thing. Might be less sarcasm. I'll just try to be in my happy frame of mind, and I know that I like myself, and other folks like me when I'm smiling and when they're happy, rather than coming to someone saying, I'm having a bad day today, so just forgive me if I do something wrong. Maybe you don't want to go to that approach if it doesn't work well for you, because that gives you permission to have a bad day,
Mm,
or it
right.
could,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And if you open your day up with that to your children, they might say, "Oh, today's going to be terrible. She already came to me saying she's in a bad mood." Oh, hopefully that's a rare time, you know,
Right.
if you're in a bad mood, that they think something negative is going to come from that. Yeah, no one wants that. We know that.
Well, one
Oh,
thing uh, that came to my mind during this was if punishment weren't an option, then all those things that happened wouldn't, you know, like the car incident and the trash incident, you know, those things wouldn't have happened, and something else would have happened. But
it would have altered the consequences.
yeah, if
Like,
punishment weren't were just not a practice,
right.
that's something that I really want. And the thing is, though, that's kind of how the one rule, well, the whole power of respect, and then now the one rule came about, was giving people a practical, concrete, something they can do instead of that, a way to deal with things instead of that.
Hmm.
And um, I feel like reading, I pulled something up. It's, I don't, I want to read it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to share this screen again.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. I really like this. It was a blog post.
Okay.
Um, okay. Creating your A game. I just saw a quote that captivated me. There's no plan B for your A game. It turns out to be the book title for Bo Eason's book. I'd just been thinking of writing about eliminating punishment. Punishment is kind of a plan B for parents, like what to do when your kids don't do what you want them to do in the way you want them to do it and when you want them to do it. That's supposed to be a major parent A game, getting your kids to behave, which basically means what I said in my last sentence. Do what you want them to do, how and when. So punishment is the plan B, not ensuring success, not making success the only option, not playing your A game. Well, what if we make success the only option? What if we also make the whole thing more realistic? What if we go for agreement? Agreement is a realistic possibility. It's been achieved repeatedly over many years of going for it. Kids seem to take it as if they were born to do it. Are you ready to stop punishing kids right now? Are you ready? Are you willing to go for agreement instead? Agreement, which means they willingly agree to something you willingly agree to? Could you go for that and give up your plan B? You know, punishment doesn't feel good, not to you, not to your kids. And I guarantee that once you've started finding agreements, you are all going to feel good. They are going to behave in ways that are agreeable to you. Your A game, success for both of you. Think about it, then do it. Surely you found agreement with someone in your life. Use that time or those times as your model. You can do this. You deserve this. So do your kids. It improves your life above and beyond what you can even imagine right now. Okay. Anyway,
I like
apparently,
that concept, the A game, stick with the A game.
apparently Bo Eason's mother had that as part of his training. He's an athlete, I guess, and
Okay.
his training was, there is no plan B. You're just going for success. And that was such an interesting concept to me, because uh, my life had been filled so much with doubts and things like that, that to have something that strong, and I feel that strong about eliminating punishment, and now using the one rule. You don't even have to eliminate anything. In this new training I have set up, I was realizing you don't have to know a lot of things. All you have to do is agree to use the one rule, and it takes care of just about everything. Finding agreement between you and my focus is adults and children. Other people have different focuses for this. They hear about the one rule and they want to plug it into different situations. That's fine. But for me, this is my focus. This is
What you're
one thing I'm
saying
here
to us,
for.
sure. And I
Yeah,
like your concept that like failure is not an option. That's like a big sports thing all the time. I think maybe that's why I was a better music educator than a coach, because um, in music, you can compromise and do things and you can
right,
always have success. I think in
right.
sports, it's competitive, maybe the training can be easily worked on, but when you get to the real game, there's going to be a winner and a loser. You know what I mean? That's
I
what happens in
know.
sports.
Yeah,
And
it does.
that's the bad thing about it. Someone has to lose the game, because the
Right,
sports guys will tell you, if you're in second place, you lost. And
right.
that's one of the things that I don't want to be second place dad or grandpa. I want to be successful. And I think that I've dedicated a lot of my time to making sure that that comes to fruition, that we're all happy at all times. I recall times where I stayed away from my parents because I was mad at them. But I don't want my daughter to hide from me or my granddaughter to stay away from me because they're mad at me for any reason. And
Right.
one thing, one of my brothers that has 5 kids had a talk with me once, and he says what he taught their kids from a young age is that I need to trust you and you need to trust me, that we're good people and it's unconditional love, and maybe that trust will grow and it'll build. But for right now, you might not understand what I'm talking about, but just trust me that I'm going to take care of you and it's unconditional, and I'm your dad, and anything that I want you to do or ask you to do, it's for the benefit of all of us, not just for me. I make jokes like whenever an adult tells a kid, hey, I need your help, they just want you to go fetch something, go get me a tool or go get me a something. You know, I used to do that. My son would say, why should I do anything for you that you could do for yourself? I'm like, "Hmm, okay, good point." And then you could work on that. Well, because I need your help, or I asked for your help. That would be nice if you helped me. Wouldn't you feel better about that you helped your old dad rather than just telling him, go do it yourself, you know? And then
Right.
you kind of win them over. I said, that's what I would do for you. If you came to me for help, I wouldn't say, why would I help you? You can do it
Right.
yourself. And we could enjoy the experience. I have another brother that I might have mentioned this before as an example. Sometimes we make a long run from Houston to El Paso. And most people go, don't you hate that drive? It's 12 hours long. We say the journey is part of the fun. That's part of the experience, the journey, stopping
Right.
and getting gas or something to eat, stopping to use the restroom, stopping to see one of the sites, maybe taking the long way to go through a town that we haven't seen before, things like that. You make the journey positive and fun and exciting and a learning opportunity rather than a negative thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's what hanging with people that are willing to do that. I'd rather be with them than the
Right.
alternative. And I think
Right.
that's why we're here. In full summary of what you're trying to do is get people to get along better and communicate better for the positive.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants to wake up and say, how much crap can I put up with today? No, the old thing,
Hmm.
good God, it's morning, or good morning, God, you know. God doesn't
Right.
want you to wake up every day and go, what are you gonna do to me today? You want to wake up and say, what fun are we what adventures? And that's what I say to my granddaughter. Let's go for an adventure. Well, what are we gonna
Nice.
do? We're gonna go find a lawnmower and a rake. You think we know where one is? Not like, oh, we gotta mow the lawn and rake the leaves. We're gonna go find a lawnmower. Which rake do you want to use? The red one or the brown one? So, and I think you were
Nice.
saying about punishment. If you have to do it, do you want to go clean your room or do you want to turn the TV off? Like you got to do one or the other, pick one, be specific. And if I don't like vegetables, well, you got to eat one, either corn or peas. Pick one. So at least you're getting that way there. Everybody's happy. They got to pick one. You can't say neither. They got to pick one. You can't make it open ended. I think that works too.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that.
Like your original thing that you put out there, you gave a lot of options on that Dear Abby, Dear Karen type thing. Let's pick one and go with one of those. Let's narrow it down. Which one caught your attention? And then we'll work on that one of how to resolve this issue. I
Right.
think that's how you did it. That's how you did it with that column. You gave different people that had different ways of doing things. You try to trigger something and give them 5 options and pick one and go with that one. I think you work
Nice.
well that way. I enjoy learning from you.
Cool.
Okay, check your clock, Karen. Where are we?
We have maybe 2 minutes. No,
There
like
we
1
go.
minute. 1
Well,
minute.
wrap it up, girlfriend. Okay.
Ah,
Hey,
okay. Well,
can you
this
send
was
me that last?
great. What?
Will you send me that last thing that you put up? I want to share that with a friend. That
Yeah, for
last one
sure.
about the Bo Eason thing. Is that his name?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. I'll
Okay.
see you next week.
Okay, that would be great. It's
If I
great
don't talk to
spending
you
time
before
with you.
then.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
Bye,
take
Karen. Bye,
care.
everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. Have a good week, everybody. Use the one rule.
You got it.